Hi, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Rich, and today I would like to discuss two important topics. We're going to go over pricing your services and capacity for your firm. Before we begin, I'd like to ask everybody to please like, share, and subscribe. This will help us reach more business owners and accountants. Also, if you're a business owner in need of accounting, finance, and tax help, please use the link below to schedule a call. And if you're an accountant needing help growing your business, also please use the link below to schedule a call. So pricing is a very important and a very difficult thing for business owners. It's part art, it's part science, and it's very emotional. Your worth is going to be built into your pricing, and your client's perceived worth of your services is going to be in the price they'll accept. So a lot of time and effort and care have to be put into developing proper prices for your services. What I do is I want to start with the different models that are available for determining prices. And looking on the screen, we're going to first start with hourly pricing. So hourly pricing is charging for actual time spent. What you do is you set an hourly rate times the number of hours you spend on a client's account and invoice them. This could be good for cleanups and catch-ups or projects or consulting services where the amount of time isn't necessarily known, but an end date is known. This is good for cleanups, catch-ups, projects, and consulting services. Pros are you're compensated for your time. It does reduce scope risk. And the cons are the client could push back, wanting to know why it took so many more hours this month than last, and it does limit profits. If you're billing per hour, you're going to get paid for the work you do. If you finish fast, there's no additional reward. Personally, this is a terrible model for billing and charging your monthly recurring clients. What I like to use this for is advisory services. I could have a situation where a client may call me asking for advice on a business transaction, on a tax position. I know I'm going to spend about an hour preparing, writing up a document, meeting with the client, presenting it. So all in, you're 1, 2, maybe 3 hours. You take your hourly rate and invoice them. It works for those one-offs where there aren't recurring clients. Next, we have fixed monthly pricing. So this is a flat fee based on volume. You're going to do something like the first 200 transactions might be $250. The next 50 would be $300. 400 transactions may cost $500. It's going to be based on a certain number of transactions for a certain dollar amount. This works well if it's a tier-based service based on those volume amounts, and all additional services would be billed individually. This is good for startup firms and small firms with a desire for predictable revenue. You're going to have a situation where you're going to look at the client's books. You're going to have a good idea over the last 3 to 6 months how many transactions they have per month, and it gives you the ability to bill steadily, and the client also knows what their expenses are expected to be. It's a simple pricing model. It gives both parties the stability we just talked about. One con is you do have to frequently evaluate the client's volume and adjust accordingly. It also introduces the opportunity for scope creep. The clients are always going to ask you for some extra things that aren't included, and it's difficult to say no when you've got an established relationship. You don't want to appear as though you're nickel and diming the clients, so you need to be careful. So next we have per transaction pricing. So this is a very common model in the industry, $2, $3, $4 a transaction. You take the number of transactions the client has, multiply it by a rate, and invoice them. This is good for high transaction and multiple location clients. It is scalable, and it is fair to low volume clients who are not being billed at higher rates for work that doesn't need to be done. One thing clients don't like is the invoice volatility. In a very busy month, their accounting fees could go way up, and that always leads to the potential for unpleasant conversations with the client. And it does involve more work on your end, making sure you're tracking the number of transactions throughout the month. You have value-based pricing. So this is pricing based on outcomes and strategic impact. So it's usually used with pricing tiers, additional services that add value. So you've got your base services and then those value-added services such as advisory and planning. These are great for CFO-style firms and businesses wanting advisory services. So if you're more of an advisory style operator and your clients value that, this is a great model for you. It does offer higher margins. It allows you to attract better clients who want insights, not just data entry. One con is that it is harder to price and it does require strong positioning. You've got to convince your clients in the value of your services outside of the transactional piece of bookkeeping. So Messaging is critical here. Next, we have tiered packages. So this is where clients pick from a menu. Each of those menu items has a certain set of services, such as bronze, silver, gold. I use build, start, build, and grow. I'll show you those in a little bit. It's great for service type businesses or firms offering a lot of different services. So it provides clear choices for the clients. Upselling is much easier, and it has fixed prices with scalable value. Here again, you must clearly define each tier, what's included in the package, and it has to be maintained over time. And then finally, we have hybrid pricing. So hybrid pricing is a combination of some of the models above. This is what I like to do, and you'll see this shortly, is I like to use a value-based pricing with tiers. So you're going to see a menu, you're going to pick from that menu, and each of those menu items adds more value to the client. So first thing you want to do is just go through these different models, see what makes most sense for you, what you're comfortable with, and start to develop your cost based on that. So I developed this price worksheet, which helped me set the prices for my packages. So here's an example of how one might work. You start with the package you're offering. For many of you, this might be just one service, bookkeeping. So with a basic start package, I offer bookkeeping, reporting, basic financial planning and analysis, and advisory services, basic advisory services. So first look at the number of staff that are needed to provide that service. It could be one person doing all of them. It could be one person doing different pieces of it. That's not the important piece for the pricing. It's just that you identify how many people are going to be providing services. I then look at the hours, how many hours it will take for each service. So I know bookkeeping, one person will do all the bookkeeping. That will take 3 hours. That bookkeeper typically makes $35 an hour. Bookkeeper's income, that bookkeeper's salary will have payroll taxes, benefits. There'll be fixed costs. For instance, if I'm using a month-end close software to help the bookkeeper close the books faster, it could be $5 a client. And there could be variable costs per client, different software programs, and other overheads. Again, you're going to want to take time to identify what your fixed costs are per client and your variable costs. That package will also include reporting. So that'll be one individual spending 1 hour putting all the reports and dashboards together. That individual in my other practice is a separate individual. So as Entrie grows to the 100 clients, what I'll have is bookkeepers doing the month-end close, and then I'll have analysts putting together the reporting, doing the FP&A work, and then more senior person or myself will do the advisory component. So that reporting is done by one individual. They'll spend an hour putting those together, half an hour doing the forecasts, the variance analysis. The reporting the FP&A will be an hour and a half total at $50 an hour. Again, adding the taxes, the benefits, the fixed and the variable costs. And then you have the advisory services, half an hour a month at $150 per hour, and you extend it out. So we know that this package is estimated to take 5 hours a month to service. And what we do is we just start with a number of $500. Maybe it makes sense, maybe it doesn't. But at $500 an hour, we know that the cost per client is $337. So just round that up to $350. That gives us a gross margin of $150 per client, which is a 30% margin. Down below, you see the industry standard profit margin. So for all accounting firms, it's between 18 and 35%. For traditional firms, it's 20 to 25%. And for virtual firms like myself, it's 30 to 35%. Nice thing about being virtual is lower overheads, which allow you to keep prices down. In order to maintain a 20 to 25% margin in a traditional firm, you may have to charge a lot more because your overheads will be significantly higher as you cover rent, utilities, and other items that are unique to being in an office. So at 30%, I'm on the low end of the virtual firm range, which means there's good value here. I could probably add another $40 or $50 and still be within the industry norms. And, this is an important conversation to have with everybody because you have to make a profit. Your clients need to make a profit. So you can't be afraid to charge people a fair price to hit your profit targets. It's that 30 to 35%, and this is pre-tax, that's going to allow me to reinvest in the business, bring on more staff, and do all these things to help grow it. So don't be afraid to earn a profit. Your clients earn a profit. They expect you to as well. Looking at my price list. So what I've been able to come up with using the worksheet we just used is a tier or menu approach. So we start with the START program, which is $500 a month. That includes the bookkeeping, the reporting, the basic FP&A, the basic advisory, and it will include a 20% discount on all additional services. So once you're a client, we like to help you use more services and we discount those services. $500 may sound like a large amount to some clients. It may sound very reasonable. But think of it this way, for $16.67 per day, you have an experienced staff or individual working on your account at all times. So there's tremendous value in under $17 a day having all these services provided. We don't have any contracts, so clients are free to cancel at any time. And like anything else, there could be situations where excessive volume or multiple locations would warrant a quote of a different price, but most clients will fall into these prices. Our second package is a Grow package. Again, you'll get your bookkeeping, your reporting, you'll get full FP&A services. You'll now receive tax planning, full advisory services, and 30% discount on all additional services. For clients needing more help, we have our Build program. That's $1,000. That's your bookkeeping, your reporting, your FP&A, your tax preparation, your tax planning. Now you get compliance, advisory, and 50% off all additional services. Going back to the Grow program, that's only $23.33 a day. The Build program is now only $33.33 a day to have an incredibly value-added package at your disposal and staff that can answer your questions and help you grow your business. Lastly, we have our fractional CFO or controller package. So prices there start at $1,000. This one almost always requires a consultation. Clients may need more services. They may need to bundle it with one of the bookkeeping packages. They may need more than what's on here. But some highlights would be capital strategy and banking, cash flow management, enhanced financial statement reviews, enhanced reporting and KPIs, operational finance and process improvement, project management, strategic finance and planning, tax planning. So you get all these different things for just $33.33 a day. So for those companies in need of a fractional CFO, there's some great value here. I put basic bookkeeping on here because you are going to get people who simply can't afford $500 or more a month, or just may not really see the value in those additional services. So for those who want basic bookkeeping, which is going to be posting transactions, your basic journal entries, reconciliations, and your standard QuickBooks reports, we have a package for you. It starts at $250 or only $8.33 a day. So at just $8.33 a day to start, it's an incredible value. We provide tax services. Prices will start at $600 for 1065, $800 for an 1120S, $900 for 1120C. What drives pricing in tax returns is complexity, the number of K1s, the number of entities in the return. But for very standard returns, it is extremely affordable, and we have discussions with the client to really make sure that we're giving them the right tax return package. We are going to have our additional services. These are all going to be priced according to discussions with the client. So it could be advisory services, AR, AP management, assurance services, cash management, cleanups, catch-ups, like we talked about earlier, payroll, and then any other service that you may find at a traditional CPA firm. If it's something not listed, just ask, and if we can do it, we'll definitely do it for you. We do have our Entrie Edge in a box. So this is for the person who has a bookkeeper or knows enough about accounting to do the work themselves, but needs an actual system put into place. We'd build out your chart of accounts. We'd create your products and services. We'd add classes and locations. We could set up project tracking. We would set up your reporting, your FP&A. We would train you or your staff. If you do need additional services, there's 25% off of those. And if you'd like, there is a managed service option. We're starting at $99 a month. We're available to help you or your staff with certain transactions and with maintenance of the system and enhancements. A couple other quick things to mention. So if you are a bookkeeper and you do need some coaching, for $125 an hour, we can cover a lot of different topics. So we can do training with Excel for accountants. Some of the things I'm going to show you in the future with reporting and with dashboards. This may be a good service for you. Financial accounting training, FP&A training, QuickBooks training, sales and marketing, tech stack design. We're going to have a video on that coming out soon. I will be starting a mastermind group at some point if demand warrants it. So again, these are subject to change, but it might be $50 a month. The plan would be to uh, meet weekly, open up to Q&A, talk about different topics in accounting, finance, IT, policies and procedures, practice management, sales and marketing, taxes, and just different technologies driving the industry. So maybe not the products themselves, but just where the industry is going due to technology. If you are a bookkeeper and you want to expand your product offerings without hiring staff or learning how to do the work, we do accept outsourcing. So if you'd like to, you're a bookkeeper and you'd like to offer taxes, definitely give us a call and we can quote you on returns. And this is really something you should consider. Your clients are going to look to you to do their tax work. Almost all of them are going to ask if you do taxes. And if you were saying no, you no longer have to. So you can definitely call us for that. If you're not comfortable with financial planning and analysis and would like to create budgets and forecasts to sell to your clients, if you'd like to have dashboards and reports that are enhanced, we can do all of that work as well. So call and we can have a discussion about that. And then I'm going to be putting on the website some digital downloads. These things are really just to cover cost of producing the channel and some other tech costs. So these aren't going to be very high ticket items, but it's going to be social media content. If you'd like every month in your inbox, some postings to come to you, our FP&A templates, our reporting templates, chart of accounts. These are great because these are going to save a ton of time. So these are things that you can just upload into your QuickBooks and to your clients. The pricing calculator we looked at and the capacity calculator we're going to look at in a moment. So this is kind of our menu. And then finally, capacity. So capacity is important because this is going to be the number of clients we can service while delivering the quality of service we've promised them and they expect, and still having work-life balance. So in a very simplified model, what you'd have is your bookkeeping service, and let's just assume that's all you offer. And you want to know how many clients you can serve. Well, a couple assumptions. You're going to get pretty familiar with how long it takes you to serve a client. And for this example, we're going to say it's 3 hours per client. So you know that down here, we're going to jump down. There's one service provider, You're available to work 40 hours per week, and you are able to work all 4 weeks of the month. So with that, if you had 40 clients at 3 hours a client, that's 120 total hours. Out of the 160 hours you have available, you're working 120. You still have 40 extra hours to work. So we could pop this up to 45. We still have 25 hours left to work. So we can go up to 55. Once we exceed capacity, we get a little warning notice here, reduce client or hours. So we'll go to 50 and we'll just try to back into where that is. We have 10 hours left. So we know we can get 53 would be our maximum capacity. Okay. So at 53 clients, we can work a 40-hour work week and still have a good work-life balance and do all the other things necessary to run a business. If you're charging $250 on average, that would bring in $13,250 a month or $159,000 a year in revenue. With this, it gives you a pretty good idea of what you could stand to make based on these values. If you wanted a part-time job and you only had 25 hours available, you change your hours, you back into your clients, and you could probably fit in about 31, 32, 33 clients and still make almost $100,000 a year. So this tool helps you with your capacity. One thing I do want to say is in the beginning, you're definitely going to have a situation where you have an ideal price. You're going to have a sales consultation and the customer is not going to be comfortable. So you may counter with a lower price. The question is, should you take that price? And I'm a big believer that as long as you have capacity, you should take a price at which you could still make money. So if the price was $100 and it was a 3 to 4 hour worth of work client a month, you may not want to take it. If it's $150 for 2 hours, you may want to take it because you've got capacity to build up for. You have the time. It is cash flow. It does help you reinvest in the business. It does help you pay, for your bills and expenses. So take the capacity as long as the hourly rate is still satisfactory. And then what you do when you get to capacity is you simply go to those old clients who are underpriced and you could raise their prices. You could add staff. You could fire those clients. So one thing I would suggest is if you want to be self-employed and you only want your 40 to 50 clients, once you're at capacity and you're bringing a new client at a high price, just simply remove the most unpleasant clients to work with and maintain that level. And then when it does come time to make decisions on whether or not to hire, you could do that, or you could outsource. So you could definitely find other partners to outsource the work to. So going back to my model, I did set a goal of $1 million based on 100 clients. Here you can see, here's just a quick forecast of where I think those 100 monthly recurring clients might end up over the years. They'll also require tax work built into my business returns. So anybody in the build program, they'll have their business taxes included in the price. So that's why we don't have anywhere near 100 tax returns. I estimate about 75% of my clients will want us to do their taxes, and 20 of them will have paid for them within their monthly membership. So in order for me to get to $1 million, and I'm not quite there, I have to figure out a way to close the gap for about $25,000 a year. So that could be a combination of, I do think I'll exceed 100 clients. That's just the minimum I was targeting. That should take care of it pretty quickly. Complexity of return. So right here, I just have the minimum price. I have a minimum price for fractional CFO services. I have a very modest forecast here for other services. So based on this model, $1 million is attainable if I can get this client mix. I hope to do better. I hope basic bookkeeping is relatively low. 5 years from now, I'd like it to be 0. And I'd like to have as many people in the grow and build program as possible, and also those build clients moving to fractional CFO services. And then it doesn't account for the fact that some will want CFO services and bookkeeping services. So that's kind of how I'm looking at this. I hope this was helpful. Definitely familiarize yourself with the different models, work to determine your price, create your menu, create your financial model, and this will help you be profitable, and it'll help you then take those profits and reinvest them into the business. So again, I hope this was helpful. Everybody have a great evening. And again, please like, share, and subscribe. And please use the links below to schedule a call if you're a business owner to see how Entrie can help you. And if you're an accountant and need some help growing your practice and want to learn more, please schedule a call as well. Take care and I'll see you next time.